Welcome, seekers of wisdom, to a space where ancient Stoic teachings meet the realities of our modern struggles. Let's face a truth that many of us know all too well. You've given your heart and soul. You compromised your dreams, pushed aside your personal ambitions, and made sacrifices you never thought you'd make, all for them. You devoted every ounce of your energy, hoping they'd recognize your worth. You stood by them, unyielding in your loyalty, the first to offer support, the one who never turned away. Every phone call, every message, every moment they needed you, you were there, ready and willing. You were generous, selfless, and kind, the embodiment of unconditional care. But in this painful story, you also became something else, an invisible presence. How did they treat this loyalty? They stepped over you, mistook your kindness for weakness, and never once thought about the cost of your sacrifices. Your value, your irreplaceable essence, went unnoticed. They accepted your presence as if it were a birthright, a permanent fixture in their world, while you struggled with the relentless sting of being unappreciated. You reasoned with them, tried to explain, perhaps even begged for recognition that never came. In their eyes, you became background noise, a constant too familiar to be cherished, too accessible to be respected. Each time you tried to stand up for yourself, you felt your significance evaporate like mist, leaving only the echo of rejection. You've tried everything to bridge the gap between what you give and what you receive. You exhausted every strategy except for one, your final, most transformative move, silence. And this silence is unlike anything else you've ever wielded. It's not a retreat but a reclamation of power, an act that demands more strength than any desperate word ever could. This silence is an unspoken message, a silent revolution, and it will shift the very ground beneath them. No more endless messages, no more waiting by your phone, no more pleading to be seen. Now, you vanish, becoming a ghost in their once reliable landscape, and this quiet, my friend, will speak volumes. Because when the one they took for granted, the one they never dreamed could leave, disappears into the ether, the weight of that absence becomes undeniable. This journey we're about to explore isn't for the faint of heart. It's about rediscovering your worth, about understanding that silence is not a void but a fortress of strength. So, stay with me, lean into this ancient philosophy, and let's see how your quiet power can upend a narrative where you were never truly valued. As we delve into this together, prepare to be inspired by the wisdom of Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, who knew that sometimes the loudest cry is the one that isn't heard but felt deeply and profoundly. 1. The power of silence. There's a transformative magic in silence, a quiet strength rooted in the wisdom of the Stoics. It's a weapon more powerful than any argument, more piercing than any plea. You see, the world often underestimates the power of restraint. In a society that glorifies instant reactions, quick comebacks, and loud declarations, silence is an art form that demands mastery. When you withdraw your words, you do more than take a step back. You redefine the entire dynamic. This isn't about playing games or manipulating emotions. It's about recognizing that your value was never meant to be explained or defended. It was meant to be felt deeply in your absence. Think about it. When your calls and messages no longer flood their phone, when your presence fades into the background of their life, something profound happens. The stability they once took for granted, the love they assumed would always be there, begins to echo in its absence. Your silence becomes a haunting melody, a mirror forcing them to confront the reality they've built without you. And while they may try to carry on as if nothing has changed, projecting an air of indifference to maintain their pride, your quietness has already made an indelible impact. Because behind closed doors, when the noise of the world settles, they will feel it. Every empty notification, Every quiet space where your voice used to fill the air will serve as a reminder of what they've lost. In public, they might put on a brave face, smiling and laughing as if your absence doesn't cut them to the bone. But in the solitude of their own mind, where there's no one left to impress, the truth begins to dawn. The silence they once hoped would be temporary becomes a mirror, reflecting the care they discarded, the love they neglected. This is when regret creeps in, insidious and unrelenting, because they've lost someone who gave selflessly, someone who only asked for respect in return. So, remember this: your silence is not passive. It's an active declaration of self-worth. It's the embodiment of an ancient Stoic principle, to speak only when your words improve upon the silence. It's a reclaiming of power, a refusal to keep fighting for acknowledgement from someone who couldn't see your light even when it shined brightest. Silence, therefore, becomes your strongest statement, a shield that protects your peace and a sword that slices through the illusion of their control. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. By choosing silence, you choose self-respect over noise, inner peace over drama, and wisdom over impulse. So let them sit with it. Let them face the storm your absence brings. You're not punishing them. You're honoring yourself. You're allowing the universe to reveal what is genuine and what is not. And in that stillness, you will find your strength, the kind of strength that needs no words to be felt. 2. Maintaining your ground. In moments when your silence feels heavy, when doubts creep in and you're tempted to break the quiet, you must remember the strength that lies in stillness. It's not easy, and it was never meant to be. There's an inherent discomfort in leaving things unsaid, in choosing not to chase validation from someone who seemed to think your love and dedication were dispensable. This discomfort is the birthplace of your growth. It's a trial, a test of your endurance, and a testament to your worth. Because, let's be real, every time you think of sending that just checking in message, you are tempted to shatter the very boundary you set to protect your heart. And every time you resist, you are reaffirming to yourself that you are not defined by someone else's fleeting appreciation. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, with the vast unknown stretching out before you. It feels safer to turn back, to reach for the familiar, even if that familiarity has only caused you pain. But the path of self-worth, the path the Stoics walked, is one of moving forward, of choosing what is difficult but right over what is easy but damaging. Your silence is a powerful choice. It's a declaration that your value does not need to be explained, that your presence was a privilege, not a given. And as you hold firm, you allow the world to realign itself around your newfound strength. In this stillness, you become unshakable. It's natural to fear that your silence will be mistaken for indifference. You might worry that they'll move on, that they'll forget you, and that your absence will mean nothing. But here's the truth. People who fail to see your worth when you're there will only begin to understand it in your absence, if they ever do at all. The Stoics teach us to separate what is within our control from what isn't. You cannot force someone to value you, but you can control how you respond when they don't. By choosing silence, you are embracing a philosophy as old as time, a philosophy that understands the true power of restraint. And yes, they may pretend that your silence has no effect on them. They may put on a show, mask their feelings, and carry on as if nothing has changed. This facade is not for you to dismantle. It's for them to confront. Remember, their mask is their burden, not yours. You don't need to waste energy deciphering whether it's real or a bluff. Your silence isn't about controlling them. It's about freeing yourself. It's about realizing that you have done all you can and that your peace no longer depends on their acknowledgement. In this space, you are not waiting idly. Instead, you are channeling your energy inward, becoming sharper, wiser, and more aligned with your own goals. As Epictetus wisely put it, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Your silence is not about pausing your life, but about refocusing it. It's about redirecting your attention from a person who couldn't see your value to a life that reflects your deepest potential. By staying grounded, you are transforming, and in this transformation, you are finding a strength that nothing and no one can take away from you. 3. Silence as a test. Silence is not just a void. It's a crucible, a test of true worth and intentions. Think of this moment as a reckoning, a moment of raw truth where only the genuine survive. You've given all you had to offer. You've been open, vulnerable, and compassionate, yet your love was met with neglect, perhaps even disdain. Now, this silence you've chosen is not a punishment but a revelation, a chance for clarity to emerge, untainted by words or explanations. It's a gift to yourself and, paradoxically, to them as well, because in the quiet absence of your presence, they will face the stark reality of what they let slip away. You see, silence works like a mirror, reflecting the true nature of those it touches. If there's any real love, any genuine care beneath their mask of indifference, your silence will force it to the surface. It will make them reconsider their choices, replay the moments they dismissed your kindness, and recognize the significance of what they lost. Like a seed planted in the darkness of fertile soil, this realization either takes root or withers away, revealing whether their feelings were ever more than surface deep. If they love you, if they truly value you, this silence will weigh on them, pulling at their heartstrings in ways they cannot ignore. But what if they don't love you? What if your absence doesn't shake them, and they remain unaffected? This, too, is a gift, an unveiling of the truth you need to see. The Stoic philosophers remind us that we cannot control the thoughts or feelings of others. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." And so, your task is not to convince or change anyone. Your task is to watch, to learn, and to accept. If they can move on without so much as a second thought, then you know they were never deserving of the love and energy you invested in them. There's a purity in this test, a wisdom that transcends the noise of everyday emotions. It's a moment where you see the world as it truly is, unclouded by illusion or hope. Yes, it might sting to realize that someone you cherish does not feel the same way. But think about the strength you gain from facing this truth head-on, from no longer clinging to a fantasy. You become resilient, grounded in reality, and unshakable in your worth. Your silence acts as a filter, separating the wheat from the chaff, showing you who belongs in your life and who doesn't. Hold on to this knowledge. Silence doesn't force anyone to value you. Instead, it reveals who already does. It's not about testing them in a manipulative way. It's about offering them, and yourself, the space to see things clearly. This clarity is priceless. It frees you from illusions, from the endless cycle of hoping for someone to see what they're not ready or willing to see. And as you embrace this silence, you embrace your power, standing firm and unwavering, guided by the ancient wisdom of the Stoics. Because in the end, the truth is a gift, no matter how it unfolds. 4. The emotional journey of the other person. When you first slip into the realm of silence, know this. It sets in motion an emotional journey for the person who once held your affection. At first, the absence of your familiar voice and unwavering presence may seem insignificant to them. After all, they lived as if you were merely an accessory to their world, something to be used but not cherished. But as days stretch into weeks, the true impact of your departure begins to unfold. The silence starts to whisper truths they've been avoiding, pulling at their defenses and making them face the void you left behind. It's in these moments, these quiet spaces, that reality finally begins to sink in. Their initial reaction might be to act unfazed, indifferent, as if the echo of your departure is nothing but background noise. They may laugh with friends, post carefree photos on social media, and carry on with the same casual demeanor. Yet underneath that polished exterior lies a growing restlessness, a gnawing sense of loss that no distraction can cover. This phase is a fragile charade, a mask they wear to keep their pride intact, but it can't last forever. Because deep down, when they're alone, they will feel it, the unmistakable weight of your absence. Every silent phone screen, every day that passes without your warmth, chips away at their illusion of control. It's a confusing journey for them. On the surface, they may try to convince themselves that your absence means nothing. But as the silence grows louder, so does the realization that your presence wasn't as inconsequential as they once thought. They begin to replay past moments, conversations, and memories, haunted by the sudden and undeniable truth. The one they undervalued, the person they pushed aside, has slipped beyond their reach. It's then that the seeds of regret are planted, quietly taking root, making them confront the reality they created through their own carelessness. This is where the emotional turmoil intensifies. They feel pulled between regret and ego, haunted by the choices they made but too proud to admit it. They may even experience flashes of anger, a defense mechanism to cope with the discomfort of their own guilt. But even anger can't mask the deeper ache, the hollow feeling of knowing they mistreated someone rare and precious. The Stoics understood this internal struggle well. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." In this case, the person left behind suffers in their mind, battling imaginary versions of what could have been, tormented by the idea of the life they threw away. Your silence does not aim to cause suffering. Rather, it forces them to face their own reflection, to see the consequences of their actions. It's not about cruelty or revenge, but about the natural unfolding of events when genuine love is taken for granted. And as they wrestle with these emotions, one thing becomes clear. Your silence was never a passive act. It was a catalyst, a revelation that leaves them no choice but to confront themselves. But here's where you must remain strong. It's easy to feel compassion for them, to want to ease their discomfort or reach out to soften the blow. Yet this journey is theirs to endure, not yours to mend. They need to walk this path of realization and, in doing so, either grow or stay stagnant. It's not your duty to rescue them from the pain they've created. Remember, your silence is a boundary, a declaration of self-respect, and this emotional reckoning they're experiencing is the consequence of choices they made. Let them feel it. Let them understand. Only then can the true value of what was lost begin to take hold. 5. Attempts to replace you. As the emptiness left by your absence sets in, they may resort to one of the most predictable yet misguided strategies, attempting to replace you. It's a common response, driven by a desperate need to fill the void, to escape the gnawing sense of loss. They may quickly latch onto someone new, parading this replacement around in hopes that the empty space you left can be seamlessly patched over. But here's the truth. This isn't about genuine affection or connection. It's an illusion, a frantic attempt to soothe a wound that runs far deeper than they are willing to acknowledge. You may witness this unfolding and feel a pang of hurt, questioning whether you ever truly mattered if they could move on so quickly. But don't let this illusion fool you. What they're doing is not healing but avoiding, not loving but distracting. It's like trying to cover a deep, unhealed gash with a flimsy bandage, hoping it will hide the pain. They might laugh, post pictures, and seem overjoyed, but beneath this surface-level replacement is a wound that continues to fester. Because you were not just anyone. You were a source of depth, loyalty, and understanding that cannot be easily replicated. The Stoics remind us to look beyond appearances, to understand the essence beneath the surface. Marcus Aurelius wisely wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Their actions now are dyed with panic and escapism, a transparent effort to paint over the shadows left behind. But painting over shadows doesn't erase them. The laughter they show, the new relationships they form, are hollow echoes, nothing but background noise trying to drown out the quiet ache of what they've lost. What they fail to realize is that true connection is not interchangeable. You cannot replace something real with something shallow and expect it to hold the same meaning. Their efforts to substitute you with someone new are bound to fail because the depth of what you brought into their life cannot be mirrored by a simple stand-in. It is only when they stop running from their discomfort, when they finally sit with their own choices, that they might understand the irreplaceable nature of what they took for granted. For you, witnessing this may be painful. You might be tempted to compare yourself, to wonder if you were easily replaceable. But here lies the strength of Stoic wisdom, understanding that external validation holds no power over your worth. You know that your value is not diminished by their distractions or by their attempts to pretend you never mattered. If anything, their frantic search to fill your place only highlights the impact you had. As Epictetus once said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. They are now a person filled with endless wants, restless and unsatisfied. Hold on to this truth. What is real cannot be replaced by the temporary, no matter how desperately they try. If their new connections truly satisfy them, then they have proven that their capacity for depth was never there to begin with, and you have lost nothing of value. But if, in time, they come to realize that no one else brings what you did, then that, too, is a revelation born of your silence and self-respect. So, stay grounded. Let them play their games, and let their actions unfold as they may. You, steadfast and unyielding, continue to grow and transform, knowing that the person who truly values you would never view your worth as something replaceable. 6. Struggling in the silent void. As time stretches on and the noise of their distractions fades, they find themselves standing in the silent void you left behind. It's a space where echoes of the past whisper relentlessly, where the emptiness becomes a constant presence they can't escape. This is the moment they never anticipated, the part of the journey that they thought they could bypass with temporary replacements and loud distractions. But silence, relentless and unyielding, has a way of seeping into the deepest corners of the mind. And now, stripped of all masks and diversions, they are left alone to confront what they've lost. This silent void is a test not just of endurance, but of the human spirit. It reveals the truths they've been avoiding, forcing them to grapple with the weight of their own decisions. It's a solitude that cuts to the core, a quiet so profound that no amount of superficial company can break it. The absence of your presence, once taken for granted, now feels like an unfillable chasm, a reminder of the warmth and stability they so carelessly let go. They wake up to the reality that no social gathering, no late-night distraction, can replace the comfort and understanding you brought into their life. Picture this silence like an unending desert, vast and desolate. They wander through it, searching for relief, but find none. Every step reminds them that the oasis they lost wasn't just a figment of their imagination, but something real, something rare. The philosopher Lao Tzu once said, "Silence is a source of great strength, but here, it becomes their greatest weakness." They must finally face the reality that your absence has carved out a life made more fragile, more hollow, without the person they never thought they'd truly lose. In this void, they feel the sting of every moment they failed to appreciate you, every instance they chose indifference over connection. The regrets pile up, becoming a weight they carry alone. It's here, in this struggle, that they realize just how deeply they depended on your presence. The irony is painful. When you were there, they overlooked you. Now that you're gone, your absence becomes a shadow that refuses to leave. They are haunted by the realization that their comfort was built on your sacrifices, that their stability was anchored by the very love they dismissed. You, observing this from a distance, might feel a twinge of compassion, a desire to reach out and ease their suffering. But remember, this journey is theirs to navigate, not yours to soften. The Stoics teach us the importance of accepting reality as it is, and part of that wisdom is understanding that others must face the consequences of their actions on their own. Their struggle in the silent void is not your burden to carry. It is a necessary reckoning, a moment of truth that may either lead them to growth or leave them mired in regret. If there was real love there, if there was genuine appreciation buried beneath the surface, this silence will force them to confront it. It will draw out feelings they can no longer suppress, making them understand the true magnitude of what they've lost. But if they remain untouched, if this silence leaves them unmoved, then you have your answer. They were never worthy of the depth you offered. Your worth doesn't change based on their ability to grasp it. As Epictetus wisely said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. So stand firm in this silence. Let them feel the void. Let them wrestle with their choices and continue to find your own strength in the process. This isn't about watching them suffer. It's about giving yourself the space to heal and thrive, knowing that your value is not determined by someone else's acknowledgement. You are building a life rooted in self-respect, a life that needs no validation from those who failed to see your worth. Let them struggle in the silence while you rise in your newfound strength, ready for whatever comes next. 7. Breaking down or breaking through. And now we come to the final reckoning, the moment when they face an unyielding crossroads. They either break down under the weight of their regret or break through and evolve. This stage is a crucible, where the heat of past mistakes and the cold silence of your absence forge a decision. For some, the silence becomes unbearable, a mirror they can't look away from. They feel overwhelmed, suffocating under the guilt and the realization that they pushed away someone irreplaceable. Every memory, every moment they mishandled, circles back and grips them tightly, making the regret almost tangible. It's a slow unraveling, an emotional collapse that can't be masked by false bravado or fleeting distractions. Others, however, may find themselves faced with a rare opportunity, a chance to grow. This path is not for the faint of heart. It demands humility, self-awareness, and the courage to confront hard truths. If they choose this road, they begin to acknowledge the patterns of their behavior, recognizing that the loss of your presence wasn't a random misfortune but a consequence of choices they made. It's a moment of profound clarity, a shift that transforms pain into wisdom. They start to see that your silence was not a punishment but a wake-up call, a chance to reassess their values and become someone better. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your absence, the very obstacle that shook their world, becomes the catalyst for either transformation or further decline. If they break down, they may become lost in a cycle of self-pity, never fully grasping the lessons embedded in their suffering. But if they break through, they might emerge with a newfound respect, not just for you, but for the concept of meaningful connections and the responsibilities that come with them. For you, this moment is liberating. It marks the end of any obligation you once felt to carry their burdens. You've done the hardest part. You walked away, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Whatever path they choose is no longer tied to your journey. If they grow, it is a testament to the impact you made. But if they remain stagnant, that, too, is a truth revealed, and you are free from any illusion that you could have saved them. This isn't about waiting for an apology or hoping for their redemption. It's about understanding that your strength and worth have always been your own, untouched by their ability or inability to change. Think of it as a chapter closing, a book that you finally set down. You are stepping into a new story, one defined not by the wounds of the past, but by the strength you've cultivated. If they come back to you with genuine growth and remorse, you are in a position to choose what serves you best. If they don't, you walk forward, unburdened and free. Either way, you've won the most important battle, the one within yourself. So, let them face their crossroads. Let them decide whether they will break or grow. You, however, will continue to rise, unshakable and full of purpose. The journey doesn't end here. It's just the beginning of a life that aligns with your highest self, a life grounded in the principles of resilience, wisdom, and self-worth. Conclusion. As we bring this journey to a close, take a moment to reflect on the immense growth you've experienced, the strength you've uncovered, and the clarity you've gained. This path of silence, resilience, and self-discovery has not been without pain, but it has brought you closer to your true self. You've learned to find peace in letting go, to embrace the freedom that comes from understanding your worth, and to live not for the approval of others, but in alignment with your own values and purpose. This, dear seeker, is the heart of Stoic wisdom, mastering the art of living with dignity, even when faced with loss or rejection. The transformation you've undergone is profound. You've shed the weight of needing to be seen and valued by those who couldn't recognize your light. Now, your energy is yours to use for your own betterment, your own dreams, and the people who truly deserve your presence. The world is full of noise and fleeting connections, but you are now a person grounded in something timeless, the knowledge of your own unshakable value. As Marcus Aurelius once said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. And that's exactly what you've done. You've become a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. The journey doesn't end here. It continues as you move forward, applying the lessons you've learned and staying true to the principles of self-respect and inner strength. Along the way, you'll find new experiences, new opportunities, and new connections that align with the person you've become. And when those moments of doubt return, when you feel the urge to look back or question your decisions, remember the wisdom you now carry. Your worth was never tied to someone else's ability to see it. It has always been yours. If this message resonated with you, if it empowered you and helped you on your journey, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to our channel to stay connected to more Stoic teachings, life-changing insights, and practical steps for personal growth. We're building a community of like-minded individuals who are committed to living with purpose and wisdom, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. And before you go, consider sharing your story or your thoughts in the comments. How has this journey of silence and self-discovery shaped you? What wisdom have you taken away from it? Your words could inspire someone else who needs this message, someone who is still finding their way through the silence. Remember, you are not alone on this path. Together, we continue to learn, grow, and transform, guided by the ageless teachings of the Stoics. So hit that subscribe button, join our community, and let's keep moving forward, one powerful lesson at a time.